All right, it's 33 minutes gone past 1, and you're still here on 95.7. I did tell you that Tech Talk Wednesday being introduced by Mr. Kazim would be shedding light on what the first pretty much program is about, because this is a maiden edition. It's the first time the program is airing here on 95.7. So he's going to be introducing himself and also giving you an insight of what to expect on the show. Good to have you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, the host, and good afternoon, listeners.
Yeah, good to have you here.
Thank you very much.
All right, so pretty much run us through, what the tech show is really about.
Okay, so the tech show is going to be talking about technologies, everything technologies, but with focus on Microsoft technologies. So where I'm going to be sharing more light on Microsoft technologies such as cloud computing, Azure, for the developers as well. I'm sure students are also listening. From among the students, we have some who are developers.
Exactly.
And some of the challenges that, some of the students have, even IT professionals as well, is the fact that, they're looking to develop their own softwares, but they see it as something very difficult to do. Yes. So there are some of these products from Microsoft that they can leverage on that makes it very easy for them to code those softwares. So we like to hashtag it, you code less with more power. So I'm going to be talking in that line, how to leverage on some of these Microsoft solutions to be able to do all of these things.
All right. So kicking off for today, what's the topic?
Okay, but for today, the topic for today is cloud computing and Microsoft Azure introduction. So today, listeners are going to be learning about what cloud computing is about and also Microsoft Azure.
Okay, we're going to a very short break, and when we're back, he's going to be talking extensively on this topic. And of course, myself and Fimi were still here. We'll learn as well, we'll ask questions where necessary, but of course, it's going to kick off the show and give a proper understanding.
This radio station is simply the best. 95.7 Lasso Radio.
Lasso FM 95.7.
Okay, good afternoon, listeners. My name is Kazim Adegboyega. I'm in charge of managing the Lasso CBT Center, also known as 18IT, and the Lasso CBT 18 Limited. Today on the show, I'm going to be talking about introduction to cloud computing and Microsoft Azure. What is Azure? What is Microsoft Azure? Or perhaps I should start with, introduction to cloud computing, to what cloud computing is all about. So in a simple language, I want to assume that, we also have listeners who are not techie or technical savvy. So cloud computing in a simple language is a term that is used to refer to both the hardware and the software applications that are delivered over the internet. So that's what cloud computing is. So cloud computing is a platform that gives users access to a number of computing resources over the internet. So it does mean that, for us to be able to consume services that we have running in the cloud, we need to have access to the internet to be able to do that. So that is what cloud computing is. We might also be wondering, why cloud computing? Well, there are a number of advantages that leveraging cloud computing gives us or give to your business if you're running a business. So I'd like to paint this scenario. If you run a business, you'll notice that for your business to be up and running, you need to work with a number of applications to get your business up and running. And a very good example of such application that I believe we all can relate to is email. For instance, you need to send emails, you receive emails. So traditionally, before cloud computing, for you to do emails, so if you're looking to have an email server installed for your users to use to send emails, you will need to procure hardware. You need to invest on infrastructure. You need to have a network in place. You need to buy server or servers. You need to buy licenses as well. So you pay for those licenses. You need to have technical people in your team to be able to help you manage this new solution, this new software that you have deployed. Another very good example is a customer relationship management software. A good example of that will be leveraging on Dynamics, Microsoft Dynamics. So to be able to install that on-prem, is not something that is very easy. So here is where cloud computing comes to the rescue. So with the introduction of cloud computing now, we can leverage on these applications, these business applications without that upfront investment. So you necessarily now don't need to have to invest on procuring servers. You don't need to pay for licenses. You simply can just count how many numbers of users you have and pay the cloud provider, a fee to be able to consume all of this number of cloud services. So these are some of the advantages, that cloud computing, gives us. And another advantage is the fact that you don't have to commit to an upfront cost, when you leverage on cloud computing. So you simply, like I mentioned earlier, you pay the cloud provider an X amount of money, and they make that services available, to you. And I also mentioned that I'm going to be talking about Azure. So Microsoft Azure. So Microsoft Azure is how Microsoft render cloud services to the public. So when we talk cloud computing, there are a number of providers, in the market. There are a number of providers that offer cloud services, and Microsoft just happens to be one of those vendors. So the way Microsoft render these cloud services to the public is by using a platform known as Microsoft Azure. So Microsoft Azure, when you compare it to other platforms, comes with some of its own, advantages. So Microsoft Azure, you have it, for instance, in a number of places. We call them data centers. So they are able to, or they've been able to establish data centers, across the world. So when people want to consume cloud services, some of the concerns that they have is, that vendor, how many data centers do they have? Or sometimes it might be a regulatory requirement that requires the users, or the particular business to have a data center, to have their data stored in a particular data center, in a particular region. So for Azure, they have their data centers all across the world. And, one very good thing about it is also the fact that a number of Fortune 500 companies leverage on, this Azure. Some of the services include things like, storage. People sometimes need to leverage on storage. So how we're used to doing storage before cloud computing is that we have our files saved on a flash drive. We have it saved on our computer. But we all know now that, with cloud computing, we simply can have our information, our, data saved in the cloud. And for us to be able to consume, to access that data, what we need is internet access. So I'll mention some other competitors as well. In the market, we have, the likes of the Dropbox. We have the Google storage as well. So these are things that we know about. And, in the area of Microsoft, they also have theirs as well, and is known as OneDrive. So you simply can set up, OneDrive, and, with OneDrive, you have access to about 5 gig of storage. So that's, I believe, is an example that we all can relate to. you want to have your information saved in the cloud. So just simply, register, or you simply create an account with any of these cloud providers, and you can have your information stored right there. Other uses of cloud computing, other uses of Azure and other cloud providers is the fact that we can use it to host our applications. We can use it to host what we call virtual machine. Imagine me having a business and I need to run some sort of accounting application. So that accounting application will need to be installed on a physical server, on a physical system. So it means I need to get the physical system. And when you have a physical system, you need to worry about providing power to that physical system. You need to worry about cooling the system. So these are some of the things that cloud computing, takes away, from you. You don't have to bother about all of these things anymore. So you simply let the cloud provider shoulder that responsibility. So they worry about cooling the server. So you just simply have your machine hosted with that cloud provider, and you can connect to it, of course, with internet access. So that is what it is. So I think we're going to go on a little break now, and we'll be back very soon.
The registration for 2020 WAEC, JAMB, and NECO is in progress. Are you looking for a stress-free way to have your registration? Search no more. Hurry now to LASU CBT Center inside LASU Main Campus or JAW. For further inquiries, call Temitope on 0908-789-9045 or 0901-853-9448. LASU CBT Center is open for all. Come now for your registration.
Okay, so we're back again. You're welcome back. So that is what we have for today on the show. So I'm going to be wrapping up now. So in a nutshell, what I've talked about today, what I've spoken about today is introduction to cloud computing, and I've given an example of a cloud provider, and I've chosen to go with Microsoft Azure. So I've said cloud computing is a way to access applications, software applications over the internet. And, for the technical people, we've said that cloud computing is a platform that gives access to computing resources still over the internet, meaning you need internet access to be able to consume the services of the cloud. And I've said a very good example of a cloud provider is Microsoft Azure, amongst others. And I've said Azure is a way, is a platform that Microsoft, use to render their cloud services, their cloud offerings. And I mentioned an example of a cloud service. Email is a very good example. We all use, that email service. So if you need to use an email service, you have an option of setting up a server, to do emails for you, or you simply can go with any of the cloud providers, to leverage on their email. So you don't need to worry about hosting it on your server. You leave it to the cloud provider, to handle it for you. So we would stop here for today, and I will expect, you to drop your questions hopefully in the next episode, which is coming up next week. And but we can continue this conversation on social media. So you can follow me on Tech Talk Wednesday, or you follow the LASU CBT 18. It's LASU CBT 18 across the social media platform. So we can continue
Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as well.
Yes, we can continue the conversation from there.
All right, so that was pretty much the maiden edition of Tech Talk Wednesday. Of course, Kazim gave us an insight on all the topics he's talked about. And next week, you can call in. Now, I'm going to be giving out the phone lines, the same number that we use on radio, in case you want to join in the conversation and also give in your take. The number is 0805 5555 957 0805 5555 957. I don't know if Fumi has a question before you go. Fumi?
Well, definitely, he has pretty much said everything about cloud computing. He mentioned email. And as well, I remember Gmail as well. We also store our information in Google accounts.
Yes.
Yes,
And I think you should also try out OneDrive.
OneDrive.
Or OneDrive for business.
I'll think of that. But basically, cloud computing, he has said a lot about it. I remember when I was doing my CCNA class, when we were talking about cloud computing taking over the IT world. It has come to stay. Probably in the next 10 years, we'll
With
have
the bulk of
other
internet,
things.
actually.
Yes, we have other things come up.
You're a technical person as well.
Yes, she is.
Yes,
What
I
are you
am.
doing on radio?
Well, this is my first love.
Radio is
Other
diverse.
things, yes,
so
other
you have
things.
different people.
Exactly. So we can also dive into other things, delve into other things. So this is not taking away the tech part of me.
I can see the big grin on Kazim's face.
So this is not taking away the tech part of me. But basically, I enjoyed everything you said about cloud computing. It's just incredible to see how we've been able to transition from back then, the internet, how computer has also transitioned from where it was to where it is at the moment.
Definitely.
So it's really incredible. Trust me, technology has come to stay. It's not going anywhere. And we
Definitely
need
not.
to move with the trend.
And there's money in it, so.
Can't you see money speaking
Exactly.
all
I was
over?
going to say that it's suit is speaking money. All right, that's a wrap today on Tech Talk Wednesday. Do join him again next week. He'll be here for you. And of course, put all those pen to the paper. All the questions you have to tell him. He's also shared his personal handle. You can do that again.
Okay, it's Tech Talk Wednesday on Facebook, and Tech Talk Wednesday with Kazim on Facebook, and also Lasso CBT 18 across the social media platform, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook as well.
All right. The Launch Road Drive continues. Lagos, do stay close.